Clavicular's cortisol levels were absolutely erupting after being frame mogged by the leader of the center-left, Adam Friedland, who was bug-maxing on his talk show. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. I can't believe it. Unbelievable. Yeah, Adam is in actually remarkably good shape. It's surprising. Don't. Dow is over 50,000, Hasan. No, that's why we can do these things. First, we're going to do some good news. Palestine Action wins court challenge over terror ban. Home Secretary comes out and says we're going to appeal it because they're fucking monstrous freaks.
In a case brought against the government 7 months after Palestine Action was banned as a terrorist organization.
Yes. We're going to watch that fucking dark woke warrior. Okay, calm down. We're going to get to it. Just calm down.
You can jail a revolutionary, but you can never jail a revolution.
The High Court judges ruled that prescribing the group had been disproportionate and that only a very small number of activities amounted to terrorism, which already fall under existing laws.
As the news filtered through from the courtroom, there were isolated cheers. Then, when it became clear exactly what had happened, the crowd erupted, with some supporters of Palestine Action shedding tears of joy.
The case was brought by one of the group's co-founders.
Banning Palestine Action never banned direct action as a tactic, and people are able to continue direct action against weapons factories if they so wish, just not under the Palestine Action banner, or that would be a terrorist offense. And I think that is really clear. Palestine Action was about saving.
Yeah, Palestine Action, court mogged, kid starver being a Israel cell. That's what happened. Absolute Palestine Action victory, big W's all around. I cannot believe that kid starvers, Jester maxing ass interior is still actively trying to appeal this. Please stop. God, just go, I don't know, deal with your own pedophilia controversy or something. Just stop. Just what the fuck are you guys doing?
Lives. It's the very opposite of what people consider terrorism to be.
But the result wasn't clear-cut.
The ban remains in force, certainly until the question of an appeal is considered by the High Court, and probably, I think, until the case actually reaches the Court of Appeal and the Court of Appeal has the chance to reach a decision.
The Home Secretary was quick to respond to the judgment. The court has acknowledged that Palestine Action...
Isn't there photos of Shabana Mahmoud at like a Palestinian rally waving the Palestinian flag and everything? Or did I get like AI duped? There are, right? God, how can you be such a fucking disgusting dog for the worst forces on the planet? Like how? How do you go from this? Shame on you, Shabana Mahmoud. You should be apologizing to the British public, not serving the interests of Israel. Why aren't you prescribing British Jews for committing war crimes in Gaza? Like, there are literally IDF soldiers that went to Israel, did war crimes, came back. None of that. Like, there is an international standard here, okay? They absolutely should be doing that. And instead of doing that, they're doing this. Even if Keir Starmer instructed you, you should have had the backbone to say no and be ready to lose your job. But like your boss, you're also a political prostitute. 2,000 United Kingdom people served in the IDF during these last 3 years, I believe. Oh my God. It's so nasty. It's so fucking nasty. It's nastiness. It's nastiness all around.
Action has carried out acts of terrorism, celebrated those who've taken part in those acts, and promoted the use of violence. It has also concluded that Palestine Action is not an ordinary protest or civil disobedience group, and that its actions are not consistent with democratic values and the rule of law. For those reasons, I am disappointed by the court's decision and disagree with the notion that banning this terrorist organisation is disproportionate. The ban on the group meant anyone joining it or showing support was...
Breaking, Shabana Mahmoud has become the UK Home Secretary. She's in charge of immigration, visa, and borders. Here she is at a rally calling for a globalized intifada. Yeah. Like, how do you go from this, getting attacked by Israel's most loyal and dumbest servants, like Eyal Yacobi, to being like, oh, I'm going to appeal this decision. Like, we have to fucking keep people. We have to put pensioners in prison. We have to put pensioners in prison for holding up a placard that says, like, I support Palestine action. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Here in central Birmingham, and it's 3:30, and the store has actually just shut as a result of the.
Like, what's the goal here? Sometimes I feel like they just want to destroy any kind of faith that people have in the system. Like, are you just actively trying to make sure that no one believes in the democratic process? Is that what it is? Is that what it fucking is? She's a right-wing creature who wants to melt the migrants. It's not surprising she would turn on Palestine too. I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand how these guys will literally turn around at the first sight. Turn around at the first sight and just like betray the values that they're representing before they get elected. It's disgusting. This kind of stuff makes my position, my worldview so much harder to defend, for the record. Let's be real. Like, yeah, I'm going to do the looks maxing article. Don't worry. I have it on the docket. Like, because like I do have a method to my madness, as I've described over and over again. Regardless of my ideological tendency on the left, I am firm and committed in utilizing the existing avenues to at least build a robust base of self-identifying socialists that are ideologically committed to socialism, that want to move society in that direction, that have the organizational power to be able to apply pressure. And the only way to do that currently is obviously through the electoral process, because I mean it's different in the UK because it's a parliamentary system where you have more room to represent and create a socialist party or a communist party. But it's fucking ridiculous when you got like the Labour Party that is like actively running on certain things and then turning around and saying, no, actually, I'm betraying everything that I ran on.
Breaking the law, risking up to 14 years in prison. And since July, nearly 3,000 people have been arrested, most for displaying placards, with more than 850 on one day alone in September.
If you recall, this is exactly what I said was going to happen with the Labour Party, given that it was the Blairite version of Labour that had won. In the aftermath of the predictable Labour victory, I said this is exactly what was going to happen. Like every single thing that I said about reform rising and Labour's like feckless, controlled opposition attitude is going to create an opportunity for right-wing radicals and the reactionary movement to grow.
One of those was Angie Zelter, 74 years old and arrested 8 times since the ban.
I was talking to the police and I was saying to the police, aren't you pleased now you can get back to your real job, arresting real terrorists and other crimes and not having to arrest peaceful protesters? And there's a half smile on this inspector's face. And then he said, yes, but we could still arrest you at any time.
If protesters do still take to the streets, the Metropolitan Police has now made it clear they'll gather evidence rather than making immediate arrests. The prospect of an appeal may have tempered the triumph a little, but for those at the Royal Courts of Justice, this was success in a fight to have their voices heard. Emma Birchley, Sky News.
Anyway, so that's good though. The terror ban was ruled unlawful. Let's talk about Cuba. Cuba is receiving humanitarian aid from Mexico as the Trump blockade bites. Having said that, the humanitarian aid that they're receiving is not enough. And that's not me being an idealist or anything. That's just me being a realist, unfortunately, because the real aid that Cuba needs right now is oil. And America has shut off Venezuelan oil from going to Cuba. The American government has said that they would sanction and take over any ships that have oil that they're shipping to Cuba. The American government is actively starving Cuba. They have been for decades since the Cuban Revolution, but this final iteration of the starvation campaign has been truly disastrous. It's openly hostile. It's openly inhumane. It's completely and utterly unacceptable. And and I will be sailing on the Nuestra America Flotilla to Cuba. So be on the lookout for that. With the good folks over at Progressive International that are putting it together. We're sailing to Cuba, bringing critical humanitarian aid for its people. Together, we can break the siege, save lives, and stand up for the cause of Cuban self-determination. I said I'll be participating in this. The U.S. has strangled Cuba since its successful revolution for the crime of sovereignty and dignity for its people. This latest example of the heightened blockade seeks to bring Gazan siege warfare and starvation closer to home. We mustn't look away. And you really are trying to get kirked. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think that'll happen, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we got to do it. Yes, I will be streaming it. I will be streaming the process. I don't know if we'll be able to stream on the island because I had set up in the past before this oil blockade. I was going to be able to stream on the island, but as you recall, I didn't go last year after I got detained. We had set it up, and at the time, the stakes weren't as high. The stakes are much higher now. But I think, we have to be brave. So it's totally devastating. Yeah, a fire broke out Friday at a refinery in Cuba's capital, threatening to compound the island nation struggles as it faced what amounts to a U.S. oil blockade. I can see this being CIA intervention as well. It's not new. It's not unique. The American government has been fucking up the Cubans' lives for decades, like I said. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say beyond the fact that I'm an adult. I understand the risks involved with doing something like this, but I think it's important to show this experience to as many people as possible. Yeah. Anyway, everybody shut the fuck up about how I'm going to make this, how I'm going to make the logistics happen. Okay. Obviously I'm thinking about how to make the logistics happen. Your suggestions are utterly irrelevant in the situation. Please stop. Okay. You think you'll make it onto the island? Yes. It's not illegal to go to Cuba right now, even right now. The problem is the island is run out of jet fuel as well. But there are still flights taking off from the island. There are still flights going to the island, and you can take a boat to the island as well. Code Pink actually went to the island recently. So brought necessary aid. China has also been bringing necessary aid onto the island as well in the form of solar panels. But the problem is what they need most right now is not even solar panels. What they need most right now is oil. They need oil to run their generators. They need oil for their hospitals. They need oil for the ambulances. So yeah, it's utterly devastating. So even though, for example, Mexico is sending in necessary aid at this moment, the real aid that is necessary is oil, and Mexico is not sending oil, unfortunately. And the reason why they're not sending oil is because they're afraid of sanctions. The only country that has said that they would send oil to Cuba is Russia, and I'm not exactly certain as to how they will pull that off, especially considering that the American government has intercepted Russian oil tankers already in the post-Venezuelan takeover. So, yeah.
Answering Cuba's distress signal, help arriving in Havana today in the form of 2 Mexican naval ships loaded with aid. Neighborly solidarity in the form of rice, beans, sardines, nearly 300 tons of powdered milk. But it's oil that Cuba so desperately needs and that Mexico couldn't send without risking retaliatory tariffs from the United States.
It's very important help for the Cuban people at this moment we are living through. There's a lot of need and uncertainty, and we don't know how long it'll go on like this.
Since Donald Trump announced an effective oil blockade at the end of January, the effects have been cascading through Cuba's society. Already denied Venezuelan oil since the US raid on Caracas at the start of the year, the situation growing ever more acute. Last week, rationing imposed on petrol to go with rolling power blackouts. Cuba relies on oil for more than 80% of its electricity generation.
People are buying 3 bags of charcoal at a time so they can cook when there's no electricity.
At the airport, jet fuel reserves all but exhausted. That's led to Canadian carriers unable to refuel for the return journey to cancel upcoming flights. Canadian and Russian airlines sending empty planes to repatriate stranded tourists. Canadian and Russian visitors making up nearly half of Cuba's vital tourism industry, which had already been in steep decline in recent years.
In the end, everything is because of the lack of dialogue between the two governments. Ultimately, this is, as I say in the Cuban style, it's like a giant fighting with a child.
Down from the mountains, the conqueror comes.
A fight that's had little let-up since Fidel Castro's communist revolution of 1959, through the botched invasion of the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis that threatened a nuclear war, then decades of embargo. Until the brief détente of Barack Obama's second term.
This is a new day. Es un nuevo día.
And Cuba is ready to fall, you know.
Yeah, that was one of Barack Obama's positive accomplishments in terms of foreign policy, to which I give him many credits for. And not only that, but also obviously the JCPOA. Those were like the two major foreign policy accomplishments of Barack Obama, which, you know, those were objectively good things. And of course, Donald Trump came in and instantly fucked it. Fucked both. One at the behest of Israel and the other at the behest of the Cuban lobby. And Joe Biden never actually returned to Barack Obama's normalization efforts. And he basically signed off on releasing the blockade for one day, his last day in office. It was disgusting. Utterly disgusting. It would have been better if he just didn't do anything at all, honestly. On his last day as a lame duck, he released the sanctions. One fucking day. Unbelievable. The things that we've done to Cuba, if there was a God, if there was karmic justice, the things that we have done to Cuba, the things that we've done to Haiti, the things that we've done around the world, but especially to Cuba, we will never be punished enough for it, okay? We would never get sufficient punishments for the things that we have done to Cuba.
Now, in his second term, President Trump has redesignated Cuba a state sponsor of terror, increasing the pressure on Havana. His Cuban-American Secretary of State seen as the architect of the policy.
Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think we would love to see the regime there change. We would like to, that doesn't mean that we're going to make it change, but we would love to see it change. There's no doubt about the fact that it would.
Like, even the arguments about this on the liberal side of Congress is so bad. It's so disastrously bad. Where the liberals' arguments against this is basically, oh, well, will you commit not to like military intervention? Shut the fuck up. Like, what do you mean? We've been starving this fucking island. We've been starving this island for fucking decades, dude. It is disastrous. It's just monstrous. It's barbaric policy. It's disgusting. And for decades, we've turned a fucking blind eye to these atrocities. And the only voices you ever fucking heard was the Cuban Americans that are like, no, we need to bomb the island right now. Fuck those guys, okay? Sorry, I don't give a shit what your diasporoid ass has to say about the Cuban government. You're over here demanding to laser your relatives that still live on the fucking island, asshole. Suck my dick. Anyway. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. One of, like, as far as perfect victims goes, Cuba is the closest you can get to as a state in terms of, like, being victim to American empire and still thriving regardless. Okay? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It would be of great benefit to the United States.
Cuba's President Miguel Diaz-Canel says he's ready for talks without U.S. pressure or preconditions. Mexico, China, Russia, all calling for resolution through dialogue. Reports in Moscow, too, that it is preparing to defy Washington by sending oil to its friends in Cuba, The Kremlin spokesman not denying that and noting the relative lack of US-Russian trade right now that could be affected by US.
I mean, yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg. In 1996, a Cuban pilot observed a U.S. government fumigation plane spraying an unknown substance over Matanzas province. Shortly thereafter, an invasive pesticide-resistant insect never before seen in Cuba, the Thrips palmi, was discovered devouring potato crops in Matanzas. The Thrips palmi was later found in neighboring provinces among corn beans, pumpkins, cucumbers, and other crops. Despite the Cuban government's best efforts to eradicate the pest, the palmi plague persisted. Like, we've done shit like this on a bad day. Like, it's on fucking autopilot. Do you understand? It's been on autopilot. What did Cuba do? I'm telling you, what Cuba did was hurt America's feelings. What Cuba did was overthrow America's ally, America's puppet dictator, Batista. That's what it did. That's literally it. What Cuba did was have the audacity to demand sovereignty, to succeed in the most honest emancipatory act, take matters in their own fucking hands, kick out the American mafia, which was backed by labor unions at the time, kick out American interests, and call themselves communists while doing so. We will never forgive them for it. And it's been on autopilot for fucking decades, dude. It is so disgusting. Cuba bled in Angola, backed Algeria's liberation, rebuilt hospitals in Vietnam under U.S. bombs, and supported struggles across Latin America, including Colombia, Angola, Vietnam, Algeria, Brazil, Colombia are oil producers with power to act. Any of these countries could save Cuba. Cuba treated Chernobyl's children, trained doctors across Eastern Europe, staffed hospitals in Nigeria after war and shortages. Even as its own economy collapsed, they sent doctors during COVID. Because of the medical blockade that they were existing under, they found their own fucking COVID vaccine. When the COVID vaccine was not sent in an expedited manner to Latin American countries, they sent their COVID vaccine to other countries. They developed a lung cancer vaccine in partnership with an American Institute of Higher Learning, a lung cancer vaccine that the American government refused to offer to Americans, a lung cancer vaccine that Americans, when they found out, would go and receive in Cuba, that like the American government tried to punish people for getting, okay? In spite of the endless amounts of cruelty that this island, this tiny fucking island, has experienced, they have thrived, okay? They have been able to exist. Their existence, and I say this about the Palestinians as well, but their existence is resistance. It's unimaginable what we've put these people through. I cannot fucking believe it. Even if his own economy collapsed, they did all this. From Ebola wars to global disaster relief, it gave when it had nothing. Nigeria, Russia, Venezuela, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Norway. One tanker breaks the siege. It's unbelievable, dude. Like when you learn about the shit that we did to Cuba, you will never stop saying, "Goddamn America," okay? It's not even close. And for years and years and years, we've been like, "Oh, they're so poor. Oh, the fucking... The people are constantly rising up. They have an autocratic dictatorship. All this shit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Like, it's unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. Now is the time for bravery, and that bravery extends to the likes of AOC as well. I personally believe that there's an opportunity here, a unique opportunity to make necessary changes. AOC had a speech that she delivered and numerous takes that she had.
You know, I think
as the previous international rule-based order is collapsing with Trump's gangsterist, dangerous, vulgar imperialism directed not only at nations in the periphery, but also directed at American allies, longstanding allies, white countries. People are trying to figure out what to do. Let's take a look.
This is a moment where we are seeing our presidential administration tear apart the transatlantic partnership, rip up every democratic norm, and, really calling into question, as was mentioned by David Carney at the World Economic Forum, the rules-based order that we have, or question mark, do we have? And so I think one of the reasons why, not just myself, but many of our colleagues here, in fact, Democrats, many Democrats that are here as well, is because we want to tell a larger story, that what is happening is indeed very grave. And we are in a new era, domestically and globally. There have been many leaders who've said we will go back. And I think we have to recognize that we are in a new day and in a new time. But that does not mean that the majority of Americans are ready to walk away from a rules-based order and that we're ready to walk away from our commitment to democracy. I think what we identify is that in a rules-based order, hypocrisy is vulnerability. And so I think what we are seeking is a return to a rules-based order that eliminates the hypocrisies around when too often in the West we look the other way for inconvenient populations to act out these paradoxes, whether it is, kidnapping a foreign head of state, whether it is threatening our allies to colonize Greenland, whether it is looking the other way in a genocide. Hypocrisies are vulnerabilities, and they threaten democracies globally. And so I think many of us are here to say, we are here and we are ready for the next chapter, not to have the world turn to isolation, but to deepen our partnership on greater.
If one more person sends me Cenk being a 9/11 was an inside job take, I'm just going to I'm not even going to Cuba, because I'm just going to shoot myself in a rocket directly in the direction of Mars and die on the die before I reach the fucking asteroid belt. Okay. Like, please. I know, chatters. I know it's funny. He's a 9/11 truther now. I know. Please shut the fuck up. Okay. Let me cover this first and then we'll get to that shit. Okay. Yes, I know. I have a reactionary unk, okay? It is my most relatable trait, I know. And now he's becoming a 9/11 truther unk, okay? Please, please. The amount of fucking text messages I've received from friends and loved ones.
And increase commitment to integrity to our values.
Just a 20-second follow-up, really, just quick. Are there any...
I've been posting pro-Cuba sentiment and it's been getting dragged on the timeline. Yeah, guess what? Here is a crumb of hope for you, okay? This is what I was talking about as far as like maintaining revolutionary optimism and taking small victories, no matter how minor they might seem, and building on them. October 6, 2023. If you were to say something about Israel, you would be punished in the same fucking way. Okay? You have to remember that people are smarter than we give them credit. Okay? That if you show them over and over again, if you're resilient, if you're stubborn, if you keep pushing back, and if you show them the truth, you can lean on the side of justice. You can lean on people's nature, people's interest in being empathetic and understanding. And you can show them what the truth actually is. It would have been unforeseeable to arrive at a position where the overwhelming majority of Western society would be on the side of Palestinians as opposed to Israel. Billions of dollars of propaganda created an information environment where you would get deplatformed, you get punished. And look at us now. And while people say, that doesn't mean anything, Palestinians are still suffering. Change takes time. I know that seems silly to say. I know that means perhaps you feel like it means nothing to the Palestinians that are being slaughtered still to this day. But the reality of the matter is it does mean something for those people on the ground. I know. I've talked to them. I've talked to them in person. I try to show you their perspective all the time. I talk to them directly like I did with Belal Khaled when I was in Qatar. That's the reason why I have those conversations, so you understand that your advocacy does matter to them. They hear it, they see it, they understand that one day they will be free. So if they can maintain that commitment, because they don't really have the opportunity to succumb to nihilism anyway, because nihilism is the poison for those who are privileged, because they don't have the privilege to say, all right, fuck it. We're all going to die, I guess. Right? If they can maintain optimism in spite of being victims to a genocide, and they can internalize the support that they're getting from the West now, and if that gives them confidence, you can too. So just remember, change does happen. It just takes a long time. And because we're not on this planet for, the human lifespan is short. We're not on this planet for an extended period of time. You're not here sometimes to see that change take place. You have to hold on to any sort of modest, any sort of marginal victory you get. So just because you believe that it's very difficult to get your message across about the humanity of the Cubans and the starvation and the cruelty that they've been subjected to, endless punishments by the American state, just because that message doesn't work today, just because people are pushing back on it today, doesn't mean that they won't be by your side tomorrow. Remember, one day, everyone will have been against this. It's the same in Gaza, and it's the same in Cuba as well. That's why I think this community matters as well. I just got hit with the CIA sneezing gun. But that's why I think this community matters as well. Like, there is a massive fucking community that is pushing back. Like, you have solidarity here. You have like-minded people here. You have people whose starting positions might have been oblivious to the Cuban realities, right? And now they're on board. So arm yourself with that confidence, knowing full well that your fellow man in this community, that is, again, a very large one that many are fearful of, it seems, one that hopefully restores your sanity in an otherwise outright insane world, is out there offering a voice to the voiceless, and that plenty of people here have changed their minds as well, in spite of the billions of dollars of propaganda working against them, working against us. So you just can't back away. You just have to keep pushing through. You have to be resilient. You have to be strong. And you have to chip away at it, slowly but surely. Old men, society only prospers when old men plant seeds for trees they will never sit in the shade of. You just got to keep putting your best foot forward, right? We're here to plant those fucking seeds. Anyway, having said that, let's get back to the Munich Security Conference.
Particular institutions that a democratic administration would want to save, like your voters. Is it NATO? Is it the climate accord? Is it the Iran nuclear? Are there some things where, just give me a lily pad?
Well, first and foremost, I think we need to revisit our commitments to international aid, not just USAID, but the dozens of global compacts that this current Secretary of State and President Trump have withdrawn from. They are looking to withdraw the United States from the entire world so that we can turn into an age of authoritarians that can carve out the world where Donald Trump can command the Western Hemisphere and Latin America as his personal sandbox, where Putin can saber rattle around Europe and try to bully around our own allies there, and for essentially authoritarians to have their own geographic domains. And it actually is
By the way, I want to say something here that I think is important. What she doesn't call out by name here is just as important as who she calls out by name. Okay? I need you to understand. There's a country that is the number one foreign adversary for the NatSec liberals and also the neocons as well. She did not say China. She did not say Xi Jinping. Okay? Also, she's in Munich. Of course she has to say fucking Putin. Are you kidding me? It's like they'll shoot you. They'll take you out back and shoot you if you don't say Adolf Hitler must be deposed. All right. Two things you can't say in Germany. Okay, Israel's committing a genocide, and you can't say you can't get away without like mentioning Adolf Hitler every now and then. You gotta. They will kill you. They will beat you with hammers. They won't shoot you. They don't have guns. They don't have as many guns. But you gotta say Putler. And she also did say genocide. So, Israel's committing a genocide. So that's, it's modest, but it's important.
Trans-Pacific Partnership, it is our global alliances that can be a hard stop against authoritarian consolidation of power.
Like, this is, again, it left me wanting more for sure. Okay? It left me wanting more. Absolutely. I mean, compare this to my impromptu speech, which is not exactly great either. Let's be real. I didn't maintain any brevity. I was very wordy. I had a lot of ahs and ums when I was talking in Canada about this exact same issue, right? About this exact same change that we're all seeing. I do have a different perspective than she does. Yeah, you're not a lawmaker. It doesn't matter. Again, now is the time for bravery. It doesn't matter that she's a lawmaker. Obviously, I can get away with saying whatever the fuck I want to. I'm not expecting her to be like, Mao Zedong has some very good ideas or some shit. Okay, calm down. But it's a good start, and we must expand on it. But I think the fundamental difference here that I need AOC to hopefully get to, Matt Duss to hopefully get to, is that the only way to combat the growth of fascism is through socialist organizing and is through the worker-backed movements that must grow in all of these countries. Because historically, capital is always aligned. Titans of industry have always aligned with fascism at a time when capitalism is in crisis. Fascism is seen as the stable option when liberalism can no longer control the contradictions worsening. And I think there is a real opportunity to make a coherent point here that will stick with a lot of people. And for the chatter saying, hey, brother, it isn't happening. If Zohran Mamdani, a little fucking socialist power, is coming out and shitting on Cuba's government, it's over. It's not. It's not. You'll see. I think AOC in the upcoming days will have a stronger stance in protecting Cuba and like releasing the sanctions on Cuba than Zohran Mamdani did. And hopefully it'll give courage to other people as well to come out. Hopefully one of AOC's weakest instincts, in my opinion, is whenever she gets any pushback whatsoever from a standpoint theory exhibiting, Cuban American reactionary, she will back away. Hopefully she'll say fuck off and she'll keep pushing, because the reality of the matter is that's coming, right? She needs to know that that's coming.
Trump is doubling down on stupid. California has been a leader in climate policy going back to Ronald Reagan. 1967, Governor Ronald Reagan established the first tailpipe emissions in the United States of America, created the California Air Resources Board. 3 years later, a president by the name of Richard Nixon, another Republican, codified California's leadership under the Clean Air Act. Never in the history of the United States of America has there been a more destructive president than the current occupant in the White House in Washington, D.C. He's trying to recreate the 19th century. He's a wholly owned subsidiary of big oil, gas, and coal. He's quite literally reopening coal plants in the United States of America. He's received close to $500 million in campaign contributions. He asked for $1 billion, look it up, in return for basically eliminating all regulations in the United States of America. De facto, he just did that yesterday with federal regulations and the endangerment finding. It is code red in terms of American leadership in this space. Low carbon, green growth. And I know a thing or two.
I will say, I mean, Gavin Newsom is so polished. Like, make no mistake, he's so fucking polished. this is why he's sitting where he's sitting and saying what he's saying. He is very good at this. Okay. Now he's a polished turd. Okay. But my disagreements with Gavin Newsom don't come from the fact that like he doesn't look the part or anything like that. I think he certainly looks the part. And I think he is, it's actually for that reason that I'm actually fearful of him. Right? Because he looks the part, he can talk the talk, he can walk the walk. That's a big problem. That's what precisely makes him dangerous, more dangerous than others. Because his worldview is unfortunately repulsive and terrifying.
About this, I represent the fourth largest economy from a GDP perspective in the world. And we ran the fourth largest economy last year, 9 out of 10 days on 100% clean energy, 2/3 renewable energy. We've seen our GDP grow by 81% since 2000, and we've reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 21%. 7 times more clean energy jobs than fossil fuel jobs. We're proving at scale that we can implement, we can compete, and we can dominate. But Donald Trump is trying to turn back the clock. And so we're showing up, but we're also showing what can be accomplished, the power of emulation. We are in the great implementation in my state. Final word. I hope, if there's nothing else I can communicate today, Donald Trump is temporary. He'll be gone in 3 years. California is a stable and reliable partner in this space. And it's important for folks to understand the temporary nature of this current administration in relationship to the issue of climate change and climate policy. You just got to call this stuff out. Look, the polluted heart of the climate crisis is big oil, period, full stop. That's what this is all about.
Bro, he is whispering exactly what these fucking Europeans want to hear too, by the way. That is like, you know, that's like every European leader hears that and they nut. For the record. And he's wrong. Just so you know, Donald Trump might come across as temporary, even though there's no assurances that he is. Donald Trumpism, MAGA, fascism, that's not temporary at all. That's here to fucking stay. Whether Donald Trump falls to, a heart attack or something like that, which, again, don't hold out hope. That's not going to work. Just make no mistake. Trumpism or fascism in its current in its contemporary iteration is here to fucking stay. Donald Trump has single-handedly redrawn American politics in his own vision last time he was president. Oh my God. A chatter said, amazing. A chatter just said, it seems you have finally got your own Macron. That's perfect. That is a perfect way to, oh my God, that's a perfect way to demonstrate Gavin Newsom. Oh my God. We have our own Jupiterian son. We have our own Emmanuel Macron in the United States of America. His name is Gavin Newsom. Oh my God, that's so perfect.